The sound was a sickening, dull snap, followed by a fire of blinding pain that instantly flooded Evelyn's chest. She crumpled to the hallway rug, her left shoulder seizing up. Richard, her stepfather, stood over her, breathing heavily, his tie slightly askew, the casual violence in his eyes chillingly familiar. "You really should learn to stay out of the way, Evelyn," he sneered, adjusting his cufflink before walking smoothly into the kitchen to pour himself a scotch. It was Tuesday evening, 4 days before Evelyn's college graduation, an event she had worked 3 jobs and endured years of neglect to reach. She managed to crawl into the bathroom, shaking, and saw the jagged outline of her collarbone beneath the skin. It was broken. She didn't call the police. That fight had been lost years ago. She called the one person who could help, her mother, Carol. "I'm hurt. He broke my bone. I need you to take me to the emergency room, please." A minute later, her phone buzzed with Carol's reply. It was fast, devoid of punctuation, and seemed to address a completely different issue. The event Evelyn was most looking forward to, but which neither of them had mentioned in weeks. "Don't expect us," Mom texted. "The airfare was too much and Richard's golf trip is mandatory. We're busy. Go to the clinic and be quiet when you get back. We'll discuss the travel budget later. Don't expect us." It wasn't a denial of the abuse. It was a denial of her existence. The physical pain was sharp, but Carol's text delivered a blow far deeper. The absolute confirmation that Evelyn was a budgetary concern. A scheduling conflict, never a priority. Evelyn gathered the last vestiges of her strength. She called an Uber, used her savings to pay for the X-ray, and arranged for the emergency surgery the next morning. When she was released, she didn't go back to the house. She went straight to her campus apartment and began the laborious process of packing. The house was already a cage. Evelyn found her therapy in the click of a camera shutter. She was a gifted photojournalist, drawn specifically to stories of things unseen. The quiet heroes, the hidden struggles, the lies that institutions told. She learned to look for the truth behind the smile, the story that the frame wasn't showing. It was a skill born from her own home life, where the immaculate foyer hid the bruised daughter. For 4 years, she kept the sling from the broken collarbone pinned up on her wall, a reminder of the night she became invisible to her family but visible to herself. She refused to speak to Carol or Richard. Her life was defined by the success they didn't share. Scholarships, publications, and finally, the prestigious Gold Leaf Award for Investigative Photojournalism, the highest honor for a student reporter. The Gold Leaf ceremony was a black-tie event, televised and streamed across the region. Evelyn, impeccably dressed, her hair professionally styled, walked up to the podium. In the front row, a single plush velvet chair remained empty. It was the chair she had reserved for Carol, a final, silent invitation that she knew would be refused. When asked who she wanted to thank, Evelyn looked directly into the camera lens and smiled. A calm, hard smile. "I thank the people who told me no," she said, her voice clear and resonant. "Their rejection taught me that the only person who had to show up for me was myself." 2 weeks after the ceremony, Evelyn was back in her small studio apartment, finishing up a documentary project. She was strong, busy, and most of the time she was fine. The empty chair still stung, but the pain was manageable, a familiar ache. She took a coffee break and mindlessly scrolled through an old neighbor's public Facebook album, a person she hadn't thought about in years. She stopped cold. There it was, an album titled Best Family Reunion in Cancun. In the center of the first photo, standing on a white sand beach, grinning widely in expensive, casual vacation clothes, were Carol and Richard. Richard's arm was draped around Carol's shoulder. She looked relaxed, happy, and utterly carefree. The caption confirmed the devastating, petty truth. "Such a wonderful time with the whole family last week. Especially loved seeing Carol and Richard. They almost couldn't make it, but we're so glad they rescheduled their golf trip." Evelyn checked the date the album was posted, then the date the pictures were taken. The group photo was taken on the night of the Gold Leaf Award ceremony. The airfare wasn't too much. Richard's golf trip wasn't mandatory. They weren't even busy with local obligations. They had deliberately chosen to fly to a distant, unrelated family reunion they hadn't bothered to mention, and had used Evelyn's graduation and award ceremony as a convenient, disposable excuse. It wasn't that they were busy. It was that they were actively, maliciously choosing to spend their money and their time elsewhere, then lying about their whereabouts to maintain the illusion of an unavoidable conflict. Evelyn stared at the screen, a new kind of calm settling over her. This wasn't the blind fury of the past. This was the piece of undeniable evidence. The photo was a complete, documented lie. It confirmed that their inability to love her wasn't a flaw. It was a choice. She printed the photo not out of spite, but for herself. She took the image of their. Evelyn's documentary project, titled Invisible Wounds, the public face of private pain, became her obsession. It was originally meant to be a collection of portraits and interviews with survivors of institutional and familial neglect. But after the discovery of the Cancun photo, the project narrowed its scope, subconsciously focusing on the architecture of deceit, how wealth, status, and social image are used to create bulletproof shields around cruelty. She accepted a fellowship that moved her to a new city, one dominated by high finance and opaque power structures. A city Richard Sterling frequented for business. This wasn't revenge. This was tactical reporting. She needed to understand the environment that had always protected him. Her editor, Marcus Thorne, a grizzled veteran who had seen too much, was her only confidant outside her few trusted friends. He noticed the visceral intensity Evelyn brought to stories about untouchable people. "You're not just taking pictures, Evelyn," Marcus observed one late night, studying her contact sheets of a disgraced CEO's perfectly manicured lawn. "You're taking evidence. There's a raw anger here, but it's channeled into objectivity. Who is the ghost in your machine?" Evelyn just tapped the printout of Carol and Richard on her desk. The beach, the blinding sun, the oblivious smiles. "They are the baseline, Marcus. They taught me that the surface is always a lie. My job is to shoot through the surface." Over the next 3 years, Evelyn earned a reputation for having an uncanny ability to catch the precise moment a powerful person's mask slipped. She moved from snapping celebrity red carpets to infiltrating high-stakes charity galas, accumulating a vast database of Richard Sterling's associates, their financial movements, and their habitual arrogance. She noticed patterns: shell companies, suspiciously low charitable donations followed by immediate tax write-offs, and Richard's increasing reliance on a small, questionable